climate emergency. What does that even mean? What do you think the climate is? And are you confusing climate with weather? Do you know what the difference is?
So we are here outside the COP25 conference with Naomi Seibt, nice young lady from Germany. Naomi, tell us, why are you here in Madrid at the climate conference?
I would like to get inside first of all, because I didn't get a day pass today, and interview a couple of people from the other side, if you will. I myself call myself a climate change skeptic or realist, and the other side, the ones who believe in not only climate change but that there is that we humans are ruining the planet with our CO2 emissions. I would like to know, what are their arguments and why do they so strongly believe in what they stand up for, and they are protesting so heavily. So what are their motives, and why don't they ever question their scientific facts, even though they are quite easy to debunk actually?
So you're not convinced that human emissions of CO2 are causing catastrophic global warming? Why not? How did you come to that conclusion?
No, I don't believe it at all, because I started looking into some scientific presentations online. There's an organization in Germany called Eike, and they release presentations on their YouTube channel every single year, and I also found lots of videos internationally. And I myself, I always really liked science, so I became obsessed with the topic, and I found out there is so much more to climate than just CO2 emissions. CO2 is such a tiny factor if you have a look at, the influence of the sun, for example, and the clouds, and it really is amazing, and it's fascinating. So for me, it was just a genuine scientific interest that got me into the whole thing. Yeah,
that's fascinating. I've interviewed a lot of scientists, including some from the UN, who've said that the idea of a climate emergency by CO2 is ridiculous. And I try to get the IPCC on record. I tell them, this is what your friends said to me. Can you explain why they're wrong? They never want to talk. It's very interesting. One of the big themes of this particular climate conference is the youth. And Al Gore said the other day, all the youth all over the world are marching now. He sounded like the Pied Piper. But you're a youth, obviously. Have you had a warm reception here? Are they listening to your youthful voice?
Oh, I only just arrived a couple of hours ago, so. But in my age group, especially at home in Germany, I think the climate change movement is especially strong. And no, I don't really have any friends or peers who agree with me at all. Luckily, I have a couple of very close friends who at least are willing to listen and discuss these topics with me. But most people just label me a conspiracy theorist, which is ridiculous, because a conspiracy theorist, you might as well refer to them as a skeptic, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just questioning the mainstream narrative, and that's what scientists should be doing.
Yeah. So you just recently came out of school in Germany. Do you think that has anything to do with why so many German children believe it? What is it like to go to school in Germany? Do you learn a lot about climate and the CO2? What is it like?
The hysteria is very strong at the schools. My little sister, she still goes to school. She's 13, and I hear about her stories every single day. Teachers talking about climate change day in, day out, and it's become a topic that is very present in every single subject, which is quite scary, because not everything is related to the climate, but they make everything about the climate, and they use those terms that are absolutely ridiculous and that have nothing to do with science at all, which, for example, climate emergency. What does that even mean? What do you think the climate is? And are you confusing climate with weather? Do you know what the difference is? I mean, there's nothing scientific about it. And even the science teachers at schools usually use those terms. Which is just, you are the ones who are supposed to teach your students to question mainstream narratives, to question science always, to question even what's in your school books. But they don't. They've become so lazy.
I'm so curious. How did you slip through the cracks? I mean, so we have the same thing in America. They're telling all the children they're going to die and the global warming will kill them and it's all their parents' fault. How did you manage to slip through the process without coming out, a climate alarm? Why aren't you out there marching with some of the other young people?
Well, at first, I myself was a climate alarmist, if you will. But I started questioning lots of other political topics, especially starting in 2015 with the migration crisis in Germany. And then you get into this spiral, I guess, where you get into a variety of topics and you realize that that we are being fed a mainstream narrative in all kinds of different areas of politics. And so I saw it as my duty, if you will. If I want to be a scientist, I have to question everything, and I have to start questioning all those mainstream narratives, even if I do think myself that some of them maybe are just some conspiracy theorists. And yeah, you realize after a while, maybe they're not just conspiracy theorists, maybe they are not just evil people wanting to ruin the planet. Maybe they do have some science backing their claims, and yeah.
So how do you think it got like this? Do you think the climate alarmism, is there an agenda behind it? I mean, why are they teaching it to the children? Why are they doing all this? What do you think?
Yes, I do think there is an agenda behind it, because they use all those very strong terms like climate killers and climate deniers, which is strongly connected to the Holocaust deniers, especially in Germany. I think that is just absurd and a very rude and disgusting term to use to label people as, it's one of the most evil things you can do to a German, especially, I think. And so I do think there is an agenda behind it. Yes, it is an anti-human narrative, fundamentally. Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about the migration. You mentioned the mass migration in Germany. We're following that at a distance in the United States. I've been in Sweden most of the last 10 years, so I've seen it too. What have you observed in Germany? I mean, the press tells us that everything's going pretty well and everything's going to be fine. Is that your experience there?
Not at all. It's getting so much more dangerous each day. And for example, the Christmas markets in Germany, we always have those beautiful Christmas markets. It looks like a fairy tale. And they now have to protect the people at those Christmas markets because there have been terrorist attacks, for example. And the way they try to protect us, it's actually ridiculous, because terrorists will find a way to attack people. You can't just build a fence around the Christmas market and expect people to be safe from potential threats from so-called refugees, which are not actually refugees, because everybody's slipping through the cracks, and there are no controls actually, and we're still getting more migrants that are not being controlled at the borders. We don't have any borders anymore. Yeah.
And what about the European Union? What do you think about the EU? Is it a good institution? What are your thoughts?
No. Economically, we are in a deep crisis, but nobody's talking about it. I've looked into the Target 2 system, for example, which essentially means that we are in huge amounts of debt, but nobody's actually talking about it, and we're being lied to about how much money we actually have. Everybody's saying, but Germany is such a rich country, so we can afford to have all these migrants, but really Germans are struggling themselves, and especially the middle class. Yeah. And then we also have a brain drain, of course, because those people who do actually make some money in Germany, they try to leave the country as quick as possible.
Wow. Going to America, or where do they go?
All over the world, Asia, America, yeah. Definitely not within the European Union.
Right. Wow. And so what's your message to young people in Germany, in the United States? what should they be thinking about? What should they be asking questions about on climate, on the border issues, security, globalism, all these issues? What do you think?
Everything. Stay curious and just keep an open mind. That's the most important thing. You don't have to become a climate change denier, if you will. You just need to be a skeptic. That's it. Just stay skeptical about everything. Question every single topic that you're being fed by your authorities, by teachers, by doctors. It's just important to keep an open mind, and that's really all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to adopt another narrative and to become an anti-Greta, for example. You don't have to become an anti-Greta. Just be yourself and develop your own views.
Well, I have to ask you about Greta. She was just named Time Person of the Year, and actually one of the journalists who you spoke with while you were here described you as the anti-Greta. So what are your thoughts on Greta? What are your thoughts on all the, she got here, they rolled out the red carpet and all the, leaders of the world bowing down at her feet. What are your thoughts on this spectacle?
I don't dislike Greta at all, and I don't even think she's a brat. I just think she's stuck in her own bubble because she's probably been indoctrinated a whole lot, and she's being sheltered by the media, by her parents, and she's in so deep right now. So she doesn't have the capacity to see beyond what she's being fed herself. And I pity her, to be honest, because I think she's genuinely terrified. She's scared for the planet, and she cares about the animals. She's vegan, and I understand her. I understand her perspective on some level. So I don't want to shame her for anything. But on the other hand, I don't want to be the anti-Greta. I want her to start questioning the narrative herself, and I hope that she will one day grow out of it, basically. Yeah, it's very difficult, I guess.
Wonderful. Any final words of wisdom to people in America, young people, adults in America?
Don't be scared to stand up for yourself. And if you ever start questioning even what your authorities, your teachers, your parents are telling you, don't be afraid to ask them questions, because that usually, the Socratic method is usually the most effective. You don't have to shame other people for what they believe in, but if you just ask questions, you don't really have anything to lose. That's what I've learned.
So Naomi, I understand that you have had some pretty serious reactions from some organizations and individuals in Germany. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the threats you've received?
Oh yes, of course. Antifa is very strong in Germany, and especially in my hometown, because I live in a very leftist and green town. So I've gotten death threats and gang rape threats on the phone by Antifa, because in Germany, by the law, I have to provide my address and my phone number and everything on my YouTube channel, because I have a YouTube channel, and so I have to provide all my private details. And unfortunately, that makes it a lot easier for those people to call me. And we try to contact, of course, consult the police, but they can't do much about it unless they actually commit a crime, those people. So, but I think I shouldn't be afraid of them. So I continue to do my work and to stand up for myself, because what else am I going to do? Am I going to shy away and hide in my room forever? No, because those people are just trying to scare me. And
Well, thank you for what you do, Naomi. We appreciate it.